Good evening, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Divination Table. Tonight, our special guest is Elizabeth Ruth. She's a practicing Vodouisant, witch, rootworker, and diviner. She spent vacations of her youth with her paternal grandmother and family in Alabama, where she learned about spirituality, folk music, superstitions, and the customs of the American South. She uses her talents and gifts to assist clients internationally with spiritual issues using divination and Hoodoo and Conjure. As a diviner, she uses playing cards, tarot, lenormand, and candle divination, and also teaches introductory Hoodoo and playing card divination courses online. Let's bring on Elizabeth. Hey.
Hello, Michael. Can you hear me loud and clear?
I sure can. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yeah, when you came on, I thought you were talking to me. I thought you'd already done the intro. I'm like, hey. Oh.
Well, I like you to hear what I say about you, you know?
Yeah, that would be a good idea. I was wondering about that.
I pull no punches. I don't, hold anything back.
Well, thank you so much for having me on your show. I really appreciate it.
I was looking forward to having you on. I think it's going to be a great day. I think we'll have a lot of fun. We've already got a great few people in the chat room. Adriana Roman and Owen Ballard is in the house.
Yes, Adriana is part of my witch circle here in Columbus.
Oh, can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, well, I moved here from Chicago, and so after interning for the Voodoo store for a couple of years, I'd made quite a few friends in the spiritual and magical communities in Chicago. And so when I got here, I found there were a lot of resources. I found there were a lot of stores. We had an apothecary. It wasn't hard to get the things I needed to do my workings. And then I started wondering, I'm like, well, if they've got all these stores here, they've got people to support them. And I know there got to be some black folks. So I put the word out that I was starting an Ohio witch circle. And the Magical Druid sponsored our first meeting. Seamus, he's really a cool dude here who owns an occult store here in Columbus. And we had about 10 people at the first meeting. Then at the second meeting, which was at my home, we probably had more than 20 people here. People were having a hard time finding a place to sit. And it's been that way ever since. It's mostly women, although we're open to male witches. We just haven't, had any come to the meetings. We have a few in our group. We try to do broadcasts when we have meetings. We do that in our private group so that they can see whatever we're talking about. If we're teaching things about spell casting or, setting lights, or like this month is my birthday party, and we're going to be doing sigils.
You're 29 again, right?
Say that again.
You're 29 again, right?
Yes, 29 plus 20. I'm 29 to the second power. So this month I told them, if they want to bring a canvas, if they want to bring a notebook, whatever, we're going to talk about creating sigils this month. So, those are young witches. They're not necessarily in ATRs. When I say young, I mean, as far as practice is concerned, that's most of them. And that's why I don't call it a coven. Because I feel like, coven's a group of experienced witches, each bringing their own individual skills to the table.
Yes.
And, so, met quite a few women, and they come here and we hang out. And it was funny because I asked Shadow, I said, well, when's the last time we've had a non-witch visitor outside of my daughter's boyfriend? And she couldn't recall. So it's quite on and popping here in Columbus. It really is.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I hear you've got a lot of teaching things that you do. You do Hoodoo 201. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, the prerequisite to Hoodoo 201 is 101, which basically is pretty much a very historical, and these are some of the things you use, types of class, and because it's an ancestral practice, the Hoodoo courses, although we have quite a few we're getting ready to offer, and several that don't require you to be a person of color, but the Hoodoo classes are. Because I feel like I could best teach that. I'm not sure how to teach anybody else's ancestral practice. So, usually a person takes that or has a need where they want to learn this in depth. And so they can contact me, and I ask that they wait to purchase until I do a divination. And that's about 50-50 of the people who apply actually are able to come here, because sometimes my ancestors tell me no, and they tell me for different reasons. Usually it's not against the person. Right. It's with something that's going on in their life right now that they don't need to be traveling during that time. And so what happens is the ladies come in on Friday night, they leave on Sunday night or Monday morning. And when they arrive, we hand them a box full of empty bottles and jars. And throughout the course of the weekend, I teach them how to make waters, oils, colognes, sachet powders. The first thing we do is the working root. They learn how to, for the whole formulations, for all of the iterations, they make their herb mixture first. And then they also learn how to make their own Florida water. And we go over, while they're working, they're asking questions. We're looking at herbal books and other reference items. We're answering questions constantly about anything they wanted to know about magic. So it's not really a retreat, because we work, and then Sunday we rip and run everywhere to like the international market, the dollar store, because I'm showing them where they can get all this stuff. And the international market is really good, especially for a lot of ATR stuff. Shadow's in the background dropping shit. She can't sit down while I'm doing this interview. She just got to be up clanking bottles and shit.
Well, that happens.
So, because the Hoodoo party don't stop. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Yeah.
Now, I like the fact that before you accept people, you divine. Because I think it's important to just not take on anybody. And people do. They have their own issues, their own, I don't want to say problems all the time, but
some of them do. We've had a few problem children who have been advised they can't never come back here.
Well, you find that all over. But I think sometimes, if you go through divination prior to doing any kind of teaching, to find out, is that person in the right place spiritually, mentally, emotionally? Is this what their ancestors want them to follow? Because sometimes, we get it stuck in our own head that, ooh, I want to do this, I want to do this. And then you really don't know why you want to do this. You're infatuated possibly with, a certain path. And your ancestors may have a completely different idea. I often wonder about people that go against their ancestral path and just, choose something completely off the mark, and what their ancestors must think. To me, without talking to them, it's just like, if my mom was still alive and my dad